This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to EDH Shade. A huge shout out to EDH Shade for supporting the channel. The Dragon versus Kenrith the Returned King, Tatyova Benthic Druid, and Oona, Queen of the Fae. Now we don't have any ramp there, but we do have 4 of our colours. Yeah, we're not going to do anything for a long time with that. I'm going to risk a mulligan on that one. Well, okay, that's not much better, but at least we've got some ramp in hand. And Mooney starting things off with a ley line of anticipation. We are last in the turn order, which is not a good place for us, being in such a slow and clunky deck. Outlaw and Go-Go, 2 patrons of the channel as well, just playing out some tap lands. We get into a Sol Ring, so in that case we'll go, yeah, that's a hell of a draw, we'll go Spire Garden into the Sol Ring, into Arcane Signet. Just more lands being played through the second turn, including a bounce land over here. The mana has been held up this time, so there might be counter magic there. Let's see about a Skyshroud Claim. We're getting into our ramp straight off the top, luckily. And it's a Growth Spiral, so no counter magic there. They decide to throw down a Crystal Vein. We will get... We've got to be very careful in a 5-colour deck which lands we get down. We will take a blue and a white, I think. Then throw down the Overgrown Tomb, and that can be our turn. More blue mana being held up over here, and Reclamation Sage coming down from Outlaw, the Tatyova player. And that, of course, goes at the Sol Ring, as you would expect. We got some use out of it, at least. And more rocks for us. So we're just going to continue ramping, I think. We could get down Drakuseth this turn, but I don't fancy playing it into what is most likely open counter magic, perhaps on both sides of the table. Yeah, we always tend to play against a lot of blue when we're playing against the patrons. And they are holding up priority, so they've likely got something to do during other players' turns. A Rankle, Master of Pranks, coming down from Oona now, and of course that comes into us. And I think we each have to discard a card if they choose to do that, so that's not just targeting us. Yeah, each player discards a card, so we are going to get rid of the Bloodstained Mire, and we're going to end up with an empty hand at this rate. A Force of Negation being discarded here. Ghost Quarter over here. And an Echo of Eons. Well, we're going to be grateful of them casting that out of the graveyard eventually. A Simic Signet coming down for Tatyova. Then the Rex Sage swings in at Go-Go. Oh, and I didn't spot that coming down either. Leyline of Anticipation. Mooney has snuck that down, so they'll be playing at instant speed until that's gone. Speaking of which, Esper Charm deals with that immediately, as it should be dealt with immediately. Leyline of Anticipation is very, very good. And now it goes over to Go-Go's actual turn. They did that at the end of Outlaws. Alright, even more mana for us. We're probably going to have to discard the Rootbound Crag here. Let's try and get a Drakuseth down. Alright, well, it makes it through counter magic if anyone's got it held up. We've got plenty of haste in the deck, but obviously we haven't drawn into it yet. So we can't swing in this turn. A Reality Shift immediately going on to that without even looking at what Oona's got going on. That seems a bit hasty to me. You should really see what Oona's going to do before you go for a Reality Shift onto that. Oh, they got rid of our Wheel of Fortune off the top as well. Really hoping for this to go off at this point. Rankle goes into Go-Go, and we're going to go all the way down to 0 cards in hand. And now a Cabal Coffers comes down, and there is an Urborg over here, so that should tap for a lot of mana. The more lands that are played it will anyway. Already tapping down for 4 off of the bounce land. Playing a Dimir Signet and a Knowledge Exploitation. I really like this one. Search a target opponent's library for an instant or sorcery and you can cast it without paying the mana cost. That is going on to Go-Go. And everyone discarded to Rankle, by the way. Glenelendra Liege, a Force of Will, and a Guildgate. Tatyova going straight in for Hour of Promise. Search for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. With the Knowledge Exploitation, they went for Hour of Promise from Go-Go. What did they grab there? It's an Ancient Tomb, which is even better with an Urborg in play, and then a Path of Ancestry as well. Solemn Simulacrum from Tatyova seems to be struggling on the land front. They cracked a Crystal Vein in order to get down the Solemn. I'm not sure why they cracked the Crystal Vein, to be honest. They could have gone, tapped the Crystal Vein for mana, and then played Solemn anyway. So they must be eager to hold up this land. Maybe there's a Swan Song in their hand. Rexage going in at Mooney now. And the Thespian Stage over here has been turned into a Blood Crypt, by the way. Then Pongify goes on to Rankle, so that's some removal out of their hand at least. For each player, choose friend or foe. Each friend searches for a land and puts it into play. And each foe sacks an artifact or enchantment. Now, we're being allowed to search for a land, interestingly, so let's have a look here. I don't think we've got anything too interesting. We could go Cavern of Souls against the control players. I think that would be a good call, to be honest. So let's go for that. And it appears as though Outlaw has been allowed to grab their Vesuva as well. Mooney has been told to sacrifice the Dimir Signet, so this might be a group hug deck. Another Cabal Coffers over here as well. Alright, Zendikar Resurgent, can we get that through a Swan Song? There might be a Swan Song over here as well. Well, we have to try it. That came straight through, so I'm assuming there's no 1-mana counter spells here, because no one's holding up priority anymore. Herald's Horn for Mooney, naming Fairy, as you would expect. And it's Oona, Queen of the Fae, and they get to scry 1 thanks to the Path of Ancestry. Then 3 damage going in at Go-Go with the Ape token off of the Pongify. And Outlaw, that's sneaky, after asking other people to deal with our Zendikar Resurgent, they get into one of their own. Might be that they just top decked into that. Okay, a 4th attempt at swinging in at us. Pulled it in and out of the red zone a few times there. I will block the Solemn because I'm not going to take 2 points of damage from it every turn for the rest of the game. And hopefully, whatever card they draw into gets wrapped up in the, where is it? In the Echo of Eons. Plus it puts our Wheel of Fortune in the bin. You never know, someone might be able to cast a spell out of our graveyard. And it also shows our opponents that the manifest creature isn't a dragon, because we could have flipped it over. But with no cards in hand, and nothing in play really, we shouldn't be seen as too much of a threat. And the second commander of the game comes down, Kenrith, the Returned King. And they've got 2 mana floating and 2 available to them, so they might want to go for card draw here. Nope, going for Elvish Rejuvenator. Look at the top 5 cards and put a land onto the battlefield tapped. Ooh, Lathlis Dragon Queen. And we can make double mana off of the Cavern of Souls, so can we get both our commander and this thing down? We'll need 14, I think, so that'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. So let's go for double red. It doesn't work the way I thought it does. Only one of the dragons is going to be uncounterable. And this triggers off of entering the battlefield, so if our commander gets countered, then we won't get the dragon token, but we'll still get the card draw because this triggers off of casting. Anyway, let's go in for Lathlis Dragon Queen. We draw a card off of the Resurgent, get into another land. So we'll play that land and we'll see if we can stick our commander. Don't really care if the Ur-Dragon gets in play or not, to be honest. Draw another card from the Ur-Dragon, this time getting into Hellkite Tyrant. Not a lot of artifacts in play, unfortunately. But that does land, so no counter magic over here. We'll end up with a dragon, but still no haste, unfortunately. Struggling on the haste front. Oona going to exile the top 2 cards of Outlaw's library. And we'll see if they land 2 fairies, going for green. They get rid of Chord of Calling, that's a really good one. And Crop Rotation is a really good one to get rid of as well. Oh, and the luck just continues with them. They reveal Vendilion Click off the top with the Herald's Horn. I never run Herald's Horn anymore because I never have any luck with ripping those cards off the top like Mooney just did. Similar to my top deck luck with Oracle of Muldiah. Alright, a Patriarch's Bidding now. We don't have any dragons in the graveyard yet, unfortunately, because our Drakuseth got exiled. We don't have any creatures in the bin whatsoever, so we'll just name Wizard. Mooney ends up getting back the Lord, and they get their Rankle back as well, which does have haste, so we'll have to discard Hellkite Tyrant most likely. A Solemn Simulacrum comes back over here, and it looks as though Go-Go didn't have any creatures in the bin either. Then following things up with a Coat of Arms, so the Fairy Rogue tokens jump up to 7/7s, there's an 8/8 Rankle. The commander is an 11/11, so 2 hits from that spells commander damage for someone. But our dragons get a small buff as well. Oona and Rankle going in at Go-Go, that's 11 points of commander damage, knocking them all the way down to 3. And we'll see which modes are chosen for Rankle. It is each player sacks a creature and each player discards a card. Yeah, pretty obvious what's been sacrificed really. An Ape over here, the Solemn for card draw. That just because it's not their commander, and we get rid of a dragon. And I can't help but think that this board would have been dealt with much more easily if we'd had our Drakuseth left in play. So we'll have to see if we can draw anything off of swinging in with Dragon and try and deal with all this. Unless Outlaw or Go-Go have a means of dealing with it themselves. Avenger of Zendikar, not as bad as it could be with not too many lands in play, but still gets a lot of blockers on the ground. Unfortunately, the biggest threats are in the air at the moment. Then a Beast Within goes on to Oona, Queen of the Fae, which goes into the graveyard noticeably. I wonder if that was in anticipation of the Patriarch's Bidding and they forgot to turn it back. Or they might have Reanimation in hand. But anyway, ending up with a Beast token and Oona in the bin. And now Eternal Witness comes down. And they just went for Eternal Witness onto Prismatic Vista. These are all plant tokens, don't forget, so they're actually 7/8s without the massive plus counter buffs. Thanks to the Coat of Arms. Then a Talisman comes down as well, so down to only 2 cards in hand. They haven't played their commander yet. I dare say their commander comes down next turn. Kenrith now is going to give us back the Hellkite Tyrant. Go-Go's sole purpose at the moment just seems to be helping us out. And over to our turn. We're not going to draw into a land, are we? Oh yes we are. So we have to... see, this is the tricky thing. We have to swing in to draw cards, but is Outlaw just going to swing a bunch of stuff back at us? Can we get rid of Outlaw this turn? They'll block with one thing, so they'll probably block the Dragon. Then they'll take a hit for 18. That is 26. Okay, Outlaw has said that he's not going to swing in at us if we don't swing in at him, so in that case, I think it's everything over here. And we'll encourage them to block with some of these big fairies. Play the Exotic Orchard to show our opponents that we don't have anything. And yeah, would have liked to have gotten rid of Outlaw there because they've got a huge threat here, but at least if we can try and get rid of the Coat of Arms somehow, then that will make the plants less of a threat. The Dragon triggers. We can put a permanent into play now. Let's see about Scale Lord Reckoner. And we'll hold on to the Mana Reflection, I think. That way we can at least punish some spot removal from our opponents. And we also get a bigger buff at this point. Okay, Mooney decided not to block any of that. I don't know if they could have survived there or not. We don't have Trample. Yeah, they could have survived there. I don't know why they didn't. Oh, there's trample here, but that's only 6. Or it was probably more than that with the Coalition Relic out. Alright, well, not sure why there was no blocks there. We obviously don't get any artifacts from the Hellkite Tyrant when a player has gone down. Let's go for this Xenagos. And that does count as a creature, so we'll draw off of the Resurgent. And it's yet another land. We're not struggling on mana in this deck, but I'd like to get into more dragons than we have done. Yeah, so we've got some blockers at least. And hopefully Outlaw is true to his word in not swinging in at us. These plant tokens are a lot less threatening now that the coat of arms has gone down. Tatyova finally coming down now. Let's see if Outlaw goes off with the Tatyova deck. 4 cards in hand currently. A Nissa Vital Force. If they've got an extra turn card, then they can get the emblem off on that straight away. But I'm absolutely looking to turn everything sideways at Outlaw next turn. Now, Acidic Slime, that probably goes on our Zendikar Resurgent. We'll still have a mana doubler in Mana Reflection, but that's got card draw tacked onto it, so I'd obviously rather keep that one. A Nazal Primal Tide now, keeping themselves at 2, but still not much of anything in the air. They've tapped down the Birds of Paradise. And then they get a Tectonic Edge as well. So hopefully we manage to keep hold of our Cavern of Souls. Nature's Law will get them into another land, putting more plus counters over here, and obviously that draws them a card as well. But Tech Edge does in fact go on the Cavern of Souls, and they're also holding up 2 blue mana, actually 4 blue mana thanks to the enchantment. And Outlaw did say that he wouldn't attack us on the swing back, so being true to his word decides to pass the turn. And Gogo really needs to be playing a board wipe here, but fingers crossed that he doesn't. We'll keep our Xenagos at least. Okay, drawing a card, so clearly digging for something, which is most likely the board wipe. Drawing another card, and then drawing another card. So going up to 5, but they can't really do anything with 1 mana, I wouldn't have thought. So we just have to hope that the 4 mana over here isn't an Aetherize. Alright, a 3 visits. Let's go in for... We'll go Wooded Foothills. Grab a Savannah. And then just swing in. And... Or do we go for Mana Reflection first and then get something else in with the Ur-Dragon? Yeah, I think I'd rather swing in with Mana Reflection, being cheated in with the Ur-Dragon, and then we can go for the Fire Breathing with Lathlis. So let's do that right now. Xenagos can double up the power of our Ur-Dragon. If we put a power onto that now, actually, that will put us in range of commander damage straight away, won't it? So let's do that. All our dragons will get +1/+0. Then this will jump up to a 22/22. And then we can just put 1 in at Outlaw. And then see about going like that. That is 14. And that should be enough to take out Gogo as well. We just have to hope that the Ur-Dragon doesn't get bounced. Oh, let's see about that. We can gain control of a creature or planeswalker with that. So let's see about taking control. There's no flyers, definitely. Yeah, we'll actually take the Nissa Vital Force there. I was planning on going for Mana Reflection and then pumping a load of damage in with the Fire Breathing, but I didn't account for Xenagos doubling up the power of our commander. Whew, so there we go. The gamble managed to pay off there. I was really worried about committing all that damage off of the Ur-Dragon alone, but it did allow us to take out 2 players at the same time. So yeah, got hated on pretty early on, but that's because we ramped really quickly at the beginning of the game, so it's understandable. But then Asmuni started to look like more of a threat with making us all discard cards and having a load of flying tokens all over the place. Seemed as though the threat shifted over there, but that gave us just enough time off of our mana doubler to get out an army of dragons into play. Luckily, don't think we saw a board wipe this game. Had we have seen one there, it would have really slowed us down because we need more haste in the deck apparently. Xenagos is single creature haste, but we've got things like Temur Ascendancy and Rhythm of the Wild, things like that, to give our entire team haste. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this. This was a fun one to build and play. You can have a look at the deck list in the description, same as ever, and be sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did enjoy it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.